Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina. And Ron and I are the co-founders of the Ridge Project and the co-creators of
TYRO. TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior. Man, I'll tell you what. And one of the things about becoming a TYRO is really understanding what it means to build a legacy. What are you fighting for? What are you living for? What's your why in your life?
We're not talking about warring for something that is actually tangible. We're talking about warring for your legacy, to become a leader in your home, your community, and your workplace. Leading your children well, Dad. So throughout our 15-year experience inside prison, Ron doing time on the inside and the kids and I doing time on the outside, we learned a lot about what it meant to build a healthy family in spite of every obstacle in front of us.
You know, I think about me doing 15 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. You know, while I was there, I took advantage of that downtime, man. And that's what, I mean, whatever, you know what, it became, my downtime became my uptime. And that's what's powerful. What are you doing, Dad, that's empowering you to become a better human being, a better father, a better husband, a better boss, a better employee, whatever that might be? But right now, we want you to be the best dad you can be from right where you're at, because why? Your children deserve that. Your children demand that, and they are worthy of that.
So we are striving, because we are so passionate about helping families come behind us, to make sure that we get the information out to every family on how to build a legacy in spite of prison. And so through TYRO TV, TYRO Talks out here, we are constantly getting feedback. And so one of the questions that we have been asked a ton lately is this: how do I rebuild trust? And so today, that's what we're going to talk about.
You know, trust is key to any relationship. Trust is key, is one of the key ingredients. You talk about the secret sauce. If you don't have trust, it doesn't matter what you think, if your word is good or what, it doesn't matter. If trust is not part of that foundation, then your foundation is faulty. And today we're going to talk about how to rebuild it.
Because I guarantee you, each of us, every person, if you are alive and breathing, right, and you have any relationship, at some point you have breached someone's trust. And so we're going to talk about things that are going to surprise you. We're going to talk about what exactly it means to erode trust, why it's so important to rebuild it, and how to do it. So you are not going to want to miss today's episode. It will be life-changing and transformational for your relationships.
You know, as we did our time, as we were navigating through our relationship, we were young, but you know what? I thank you, Cathy, for allowing me the honor and the privilege of rebuilding the trust. Even though I was incarcerated, we worked hard at it. And you do not want to miss what's coming next, because we get out a sheet of paper, get out the pen, get ready to write some notes down, because we guarantee you, if you put into practice what you're about ready to hear, you will begin that journey of rebuilding trust.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine Tijerina's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina. And today we're talking about how to rebuild trust.
You know, trust is hard to rebuild. And then we're going to just keep it really up front. When you lose trust in somebody, or somebody loses trust in you, do they even want to give you a chance to rebuild it? You know, when we talk about what is it, you know, trust is safety. Trust is where people can let their hair down around you. Well, they don't have to wear a mask around you.
Right.
Right?
Well, today with COVID, I think everybody has to wear a mask around everybody, but that's not the kind of mask we're talking about. We're talking about the facade, right? The pretending, the backing up, the pushing away.
You ever been in a relationship with somebody and you know there's something between you?
Like social distancing happens,
right?
And there's no COVID.
But there's an unspoken poison,
right,
that's causing this erosion to happen between you, and it's really the lack of trust. Because
so it's important to know that trust is earned in teaspoons but lost in gallons. And so, like, write that down. Trust is earned in teaspoons but lost in gallons. That means that you can spend years putting just a little bit of teaspoon of trust, and you can quickly lose it all in just gallons with just one bad decision.
One bad decision could destroy years of trust.
And so when we're talking about destroying trust, we're not just talking about infidelity. Like, of course, that's part of it. But we're also talking about all the other things that erode trust in a relationship. And other things are much more common than even infidelity. 100% of the people and families we work with, 100% of human beings erode trust in some way. Not 100% of them are unfaithful, though. And so there's a disconnect between eroding trust, like, hey, I'm being faithful. I don't know what her problem is. I've never had sex with anybody else. And you know what she says all the time? I don't trust you. Well, let's look at the other things that are happening in that relationship besides sex.
You know, when you think about that, the other issues in our life, you know, what is trust? What is it that we're talking about here? You know, is what you're saying, can they take you at your word? You know, or do you always do what you say you're going to do? Or are you late when you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time? Or are you not where you say you're going to be, right? You know, there's all types of things that happen in our lives that can create this sense of, I don't trust you.
Yeah. And so this disconnect and this distrust is born out of, yes, infidelity and unfaithfulness, but even more so out of selfishness, broken promises, angry outbursts where they don't feel safe in your presence, spite talk where every encounter turns into walking away and feeling like something's wrong with me because you're spewing poison into that relationship. That erodes and destroys trust.
And you know, I'm going to take it up when we're going to get deeper into this conversation, because maybe maybe you haven't done anything to not be able to be trustworthy, or you are trustworthy. You haven't done nothing to be that on the receiving end of not being trusted. But maybe in the relationship, somebody brought that type of attitude into the relationship because they've been hurt so many times before. And so therefore, I'm not going to let you in. Therefore, I automatically don't trust you because, you know what? All men are scum. Right?
And so you still have to overcome, because now you've got a double duty to rebuild trust and to gain that trust. And remember, it happens a teaspoon at a time. And so what we're talking about is creating an atmosphere of trust and safety in your relationship. And in order to do that, you've got to be trustworthy in every way. I have got to know that if I come to Ron, if I'm having a bad day, and if I'm agitated, that he's going to be steady, that he's going to protect me in his words and his deeds and his demeanor and his attitude. And so when I know that builds trust. And maybe it ends up being a tablespoon of trust instead of a teaspoon.
You know, and that's a great segment of what you just said, Cathy. That's a great way of putting it, because I know there's a times at our beginning of our relationship when we were rebuilding trust for me and all that, you know, I want Cathy to know that she can come to me and tell me how she feels about anything. She has to know that she can trust me enough that I'm not gonna react to what I'm hearing, right? Because sometimes I don't want to hear what she's saying, and then I will react in a negative way, and that erodes trust. Now I can't tell him everything because he's always responding or always launching into a fit of rage, right?
So if you're constantly acting in a very selfish manner, when everything is all about you, right? When everything is a value statement, when every decision is about what can you get? What are you getting out of this exchange? What do you want? How do you want it to happen? And everything is you, it erodes trust in every relationship around you, because now it's just a take instead of a give. So if every time that there is something, a disagreement, and you're reacting that, you know what, I've been dishonored, you know what, that's a lack of respect to me. Well, you're eroding trust because there has to be mutual respect. And so when we're talking about rebuilding trust, we're talking about creating a brand new culture in your relationship. Because what you've done in the past, if trust has been breached, is not going to work. You're going to have to come up with creative ways, and we're going to talk throughout this segment, we're going to talk about this whole show, on why it's important and how to do it.
So again, I'm going to tell you guys, listen, dads, and your children want to know that they can count on you. The woman in your life or the woman, the mother of your children, they want to know they can count on you because, frankly, trust has been broken. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this, and we'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we're talking about how to rebuild trust in a relationship.
Ooh-wee. And this is no easy task. It's no small task. But I want to tell you right now, it is achievable. I promise you.
And it's worth it.
Yeah, and it's worth it.
It's worth
the
it.
investment. We know firsthand.
When I think about us and the trust that I had to really, and I love what you said earlier, how about the teaspoon. It's given in teaspoons but destroyed in gallons. You know, but I wanted working the trust that for Cathy and I for the dysfunction. Right, where we were at in our beginning of our relationship. We're going to talk personal experiences here. The journey has been awesome. It's been amazing. There's been eye-opening experiences it's been tears been shed. A lot of things are happening, but the reason why this is so important is because I don't want to go through life faking it. I don't want to go through life pretending.
I don't want to go through life where we're enemies. I don't want to go through life where I don't feel safe and secure because Ron's unpredictable, right? And so we had to really take a look and say, you know what? We want to create safety and security in our home for our children and between our relationship. And in order to do that, we had to learn a huge word called self-regulation, because if we can't figure this out between us, then we are causing a breach that can transfer for generations down the road where our children won't trust other people because they've seen the dysfunction in our own relationship. Now we're handicapping our children's legacy.
And that's what we see when we're talking about building a new legacy for your families. You want to break the cycles of this behavior where you're
break the cycles of self-destruction.
This behavior where nobody wants to trust you. Because your actions speak louder than words. So dads, if you're tripping because your lady, you say one thing, but she's like giving you the look like, okay, we'll see. You know what? Don't take that personal.
Right.
You said this before. I said it before. Okay, you know what? You can take my word for it. The proof is in the what, dads?
The pudding.
In the pudding.
A teaspoon at a time, right? And so just because we make a decision to change it doesn't mean it automatically changes. And so that's why it's so important to consistently guard yourself against breaking trust, because it's so easy to undo years of rebuilding trust. And so when we think about rebuilding trust and we think about the importance of rebuilding trust, if you want to have a really strong influence in your children's life, I don't mean just like you're going to have an accidental influence, because you're going to have an influence in their lives regardless. But if you want to be purposeful about it, you want to see them live up to their highest potential, you've got to earn their trust. And then after you earn their trust, you will have their respect. It doesn't work the other way. They will never respect you if they cannot trust you.
And that's key. You know, in our culture in Hispanic, it's always respect before trust, respect before love. You will honor, you will respect me no matter what. Well, you know what? That type of thinking
It's actually fear.
that's that dictatorship, that type of demanding, and Cathy said it, it's fear. You're creating fear and you're stopping your children from growing emotionally healthy.
Right. And you're stopping that bond that can occur between you and your children, even though you're still in prison. That won't matter. When you rebuild trust and safety and security in your presence, where they know who you are, they know that you're always going to be steady for them, then they're going to respect you. They're going to honor your opinion. They're going to come to you and they're going to ask you, hey, Dad, what do you think we should do in this? You know, you're an honorable man. More than anybody else, I trust your opinion. Do you think this is right? Do you think this is wrong? But when you destroy that, you're going to see walls built between you and your children. They are not going to seek you out. As a matter of fact, they're going to avoid you. And you are going to miss an opportunity to impart your knowledge and wisdom into your children's lives.
Now, dads, we're talking about something that's tough that you got to work on. You know, we already know because you're there, trust has been broken. Trust has been eroded, right? Between your significant other, between your children, between your parents, between your siblings.
Between the community.
There's trust is broken. The bridge that's connecting the two of you together is damaged, but it's not, it can be fixed.
Right.
It can be fixed, but this is going to take time. Cathy said it, 1 teaspoon at a time. You know, a lot of times we come home, and I'm talking about me personally, you know what, you will talk to me in the right way. You're not going to disrespect me, dishonor. Because in prison, it's all about respect, right? It's all about honor, and you're not going to disrespect me because now you'll be seen as a punk or as somebody that can be preyed upon and played on, right? But you know what? That's that prison mentality. That doesn't work out here.
It doesn't work with your family.
It doesn't work.
Listen, I know this is hard to hear. We know this is hard to hear. When you have destroyed trust, it is your responsibility to rebuild that trust in order to build a healthy, strong family. So you can't get mad, you have to own it, right? And so some would be like, oh man, you know, I don't want to hear this. That's ridiculous. That's dumb, man. I'm fine. You know what? I got this. You know what? Keep avoiding, because that's what you're doing. When you are walking away because you don't want to hear the message that we're saying, and you're trying to, you know, put on this front, a big tough man, the truth is you're not authentic. And the truth is that you're practicing avoidance. It is vitally important that you recognize where you have breached trust and you begin to rebuild that in order to be successful as you transition home.
So we come back, we're going to talk about the how. How do you make this applicable in your life? So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we're talking about how to rebuild trust between the relationships of whether you're with your children, whether your wife, your significant other, whoever that is in your relationship. And really, the first people that are going to challenge you, right, besides your family, about trust is that when you get home, if you're on post-release control, if you're on parole, if you're on probation, guess what? This is your time to build trust with your parole officer. Right? And you can't get mad because they're telling you to check in, they're telling you to call in, telling you to show up, fill out this application. It's about, can they trust you? And then eventually they'll release that tight hold they have on you, right? Because why? They can trust you that you're going to become, and you are becoming, that man of your word.
Okay, now transfer that into your family, because we hear a lot of times, man, you know what? My woman, she's just like my parole officer. Where you been? Who you been with? What you doing? And so you're creating this disconnect in your mind between the broken trust before you went to prison and reestablishing trust now that you're home. Remember, earned in teaspoons, lost in gallons. So when we think about, when she's asking you what's the same thing is going to happen, she needs to be reassured. Your children need to be reassured. I'm safe with you. I can trust you. I'm not going to be hurt again. There's security here. I can trust you. You're going to do what you say you're going to do. So slowly, those questions and that distrust will begin to fade as that gallon of trust is built up. And now it's a 5-gallon bucket. Now it's a 10-gallon bucket.
Same thing with the parole officer.
Now it's a river, right?
When you're with your parole officer, we got no problem answering to the parole officer.
Right.
When he's asking us those questions, when she's challenging you where you've been. But then when it comes to your significant other, you want to throw a fit. Who do you think you are? I'm my own man. I'm 50 years old. I'm 40 years old.
If you don't trust me, then bump this, man. We can't have a relationship. And the truth is, your response needs to be, so we're going to talk about how. Now, how do you rebuild trust? You know what? I know in the past that you couldn't take me at my word, but so I understand why you're asking all these questions.
I understand that I have a history of lying to you about where I've been. I know I have a history of telling you something that was not true.
So I'm willing to walk this out with you so that we can heal.
Ooh, walk it out.
Walk it out. So the number one is get rid of that self-defense. So get rid of that defensiveness and instead self-regulate. So 1, no self-defense, like defensiveness. Number 2, self-regulate. You know what, honey? I know. And so in the same thing, together as a couple, as a family, you know what? In the past, I know that I didn't live up to that, but you know what? I appreciate your skepticism, and I'm gonna prove you wrong. If you don't believe me,
just ask. Right?
That's right.
And if you don't believe me,
say, just
watch. If you don't believe me, just watch. I know what you're gonna say, hon. But listen. But the point is this. Listen, fellas. You right now, your word is doo-doo. Right now, your word is doo-doo. And if you can own that and you can embrace the challenge, practice makes what, Tyros? Permanent. You got to practice this over and over again until eventually, as Cathy said, your lady is not going to be asking you why. She can take you at your word. That means trust is being built. Society, you're not going to have to check in no more. Why? The parole officer is taking you at your word. Man, your parents are going to be able to loan you money next time because now they can take you at your word that you're going to pay them back.
But how did you get there? You're going to earn it. You're going to earn it a teaspoon at a time.
Earn it.
So it's going to take consistency. It's going to take your ability to see clearly and to continue on taking those small steps every day. I promise you that you will reestablish trust, but I also promise you that it will not happen overnight. Rome was not destroyed in a day. Rome was not rebuilt in a day. So it's not going to happen that fast.
Well, I think I said earlier that Rome
was destroyed. It can be destroyed in a day. You're right.
Your reputation can be destroyed in a day.
In a minute.
In a second. One bad choice in your life.
Buckets of trust. Rivers, mountains, streams.
Destroyed in a day.
Boom.
One bad choice. So dads, back to your story. How do you want your story to end? I know every man in the penitentiary has this thing they call machismo. But can you be taken at your word? Is your machismo, is that grit that you're talking about, is it real or is it fake?
Right.
What's holding you up, Dad?
Because if you're not who you say you are, you will be found out for who you really are. Because if what you're doing doesn't say who you are, then it's time to change what you're doing before it changes who you are. And we say that over and over again.
Be the man you want to be. Start today.
Okay.
Earn the respect of others by earning their trust.
So number 1, is don't be defensive. When your past has already set a reputation, you're trying to overcome it, you can't be defensive as you're establishing a new one. It doesn't build trust. Number 2, self-regulate. So get rid of defensiveness, self-regulate. Number 3, keep your promises. That means if you're not sure that you can be there, that you can do it, that you're going to whatever, don't say you will. Do not tell your son, I'm going to be at your game, when you don't even know your work schedule yet. You don't know if you're going to be able to move an appointment. If there's something that might keep you, you need to be honest and say, you know what? I really want to be there. I've got this going on, and I might not be there, but I want you to know that in my heart I'll be there, and if there's any way possible, I'll be there.
Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
no.
Listen, begin right now earning the respect of men by knowing that they can count on your word, right where you're at, right? And the staff and the institution. Be the best person you can be right then and there. Embrace it, right?
I love what you say all the time, Ron. Own it. You've got to own your own story, which means not only are you owning your successes, you've got to own your failures. And you've got to create and own the gap in your story between your failure and your success. So no excuses.
So listen, we're going to wrap this segment up, but we're going to be right back. So hold on, and we'll see you in a minute. We'll see you in a minute.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine Tijerina's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina. And today we are talking about how to rebuild trust.
You know, this has been a really great segment for me, you know, and this is something I work on every day, not only with Cathy, but with my daughter. You know, want to be consistent, want to let her know that no matter what happens in life, I want her to know I am here for you. I am here for you. I have you. You can take me at my word.
I am consistent. Yep. I am steady. I am who I say I am. And as you begin to create that new legacy of trust with first your family, that will spill into your community, it will spill into your workplace, and you will be adding brick at a time to your brand new legacy and creating an opportunity for you to live up to your goals and dreams.
But you can't be afraid to look in the mirror, Dad. You can't be afraid to be the person to recognize who you are and who you want to be. If you're doing things right now that are not building trust in your relationships with your family, with even your peers there, or the staff there, then you got to acknowledge, you know what? I need to change my sphere of influence. I need to change the crowd I'm hanging with. I need to do something different to become the man worth following, become the man where I can be taken at my word.
And let me give you one more tip, because when you're defensive, when you become defensive, that erodes any trust that you've begun to build. So if you start out saying, you know what, baby, you know what, you're right. In the past, I couldn't be counted on, and I made a lot of bad choices, but I'm willing to go on this journey with you, and let's work it out and figure out how I can regain trust. And so you go several months, and then all of a sudden she asks you a question, you get hyper defensive. Guess what? You've just lost gallons of trust, because now she's wondering, why is he being defensive? And so that's why those tips that we gave you on how to do it are so important. Don't be defensive. Number one, you're gonna feel she's gonna not trust you, or he's not gonna trust you. Number two, self-regulate. Even though it might be painful, it might be hard to hear as your family shares with you their struggles and their mind battles, self-regulate. Number three, keep your promises. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And number four, no more excuses.
You know, when Cathy mentioned earlier in the number one about 6 months go down, and then all of a sudden she asks you a question like, hey, how you doing? Can you stand a shakedown? You know, this is for us. This is our life, man. I have a history. Come on, dads. You didn't get to the joint overnight. You built a reputation that end up one day where nobody could take you at your word because of your actions. Now you're reinventing yourself. You're coming into a place, you know what? I want to be that superhero for my family, right? That man of honor, that husband where you know your wife can trust you no matter where you're at. She's knowing that when you say you're going someplace, that's where you're going.
And we're not saying perfect because there's no such thing as perfect, but we're saying practice is going to make permanent. Practice owning your mistakes, owning your failures, and working towards rebuilding trust every single day. And you will see, I guarantee you, a transformation.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your journey and helping you to empower your children and those around you.
So until next time, always remember that
we are rooting for you.